Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging beneath the polished veneer of New Manhattan in 2194.
Hmm.
Not to look at the usual tech marvels, but at something, well, much more fundamental, emotion itself.
Right, and specifically a world where emotion comes with, quite literally, a price
A
tag.
price tag. Okay, tell us about that.
Indeed. We're examining this really fascinating narrative setup where a powerful entity, Psychonomics, sort of a government corporate hybrid, has implemented something called the tax grid.
Tax grid. And what is that exactly?
So imagine a neural implant. Everyone seems to have one, and it constantly monitors and, crucially, it prices your emotional responses in cold, hard credits.
Okay, so this isn't just like abstract tracking. We're talking actual costs. You have examples.
Oh, yeah, the source material gives specifics, like
Yeah.
feeling love for just 1 second. That's 14.2 credits.
Wow. Okay.
A moment of lust, a bit cheaper, 7.8. Hope, that little flicker, 12.5 credits per second.
And grief. I remember that one stood out.
That's the big one,
Yeah.
18.0 credits. Every single second. It
Huh.
really paints a stark picture, doesn't it? Your inner life is basically dictating your bank balance.
It really does. It makes you think about how we maybe even unconsciously value or burden different feelings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the logical consequence, though it's pretty chilling, is widespread emotional suppression.
Right, because who could afford otherwise?
Exactly. To avoid just crippling debt, people are forced, essentially, to become, well, emotionally austere. And this changes everything in society, how people interact, how they express themselves, or rather how they don't.
Think about that. A genuine smile that costs you. Imagine seeing someone laugh in public.
It's forbidden, actually forbidden.
Great grief.
And kids.
Medicated to keep them neutral, emotionally stable, quote unquote.
Wow. And the arts. I mean, that's all about emotion.
Criminalized. Outlets for expression. Too dangerous. Too expensive for the state, maybe. And therapists. They're not helpers. They're more like auditors. Emotional auditors. Policing compliance. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the subtle ways our own society might, shape or restrict feelings.
Mm-hmm. And right in the middle of this landscape of enforced calm, we meet Lia Quinn.
Lia Quinn, okay.
She's described as bankrupt in pretty much every way, except, crucially, her ability to feel. She still feels deeply.
And the irony is her job, right?
Exactly. She works for Sense Clean. It's a subsidiary of Psychonomics, the very company behind the tax grid.
And her job is?
To erase emotive leaks, basically scrubbing feelings from surveillance archives. The contradiction is just stark. The person erasing emotion is the one who feels the most.
So she's supposed to be deleting these moments, but that's not what happens, is it?
No. This is where it gets really compelling. She becomes kind of a smuggler of feelings.
How does she do that?
She carefully extracts these raw, genuine micro moments from the archives. An old man crying quietly, maybe a couple stealing a kiss, someone dancing just for the joy of it.
Wow, real human stuff.
The real stuff, yeah. And she pirates them, encodes these feelings into, like, digital pulses,
And then what?
trades them
Yeah.
on an underground network called the Sentinet.
The sent it. Okay.
And the buyers are known as sinners, or you could call them feel addicts. People desperate for a genuine emotional hit in this sterile world.
It really highlights that fundamental need, doesn't it? Even if you try and stamp it out, people find a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Lia, her motivation goes deeper. It's not just about getting a little fix for herself or others.
Yeah.
She doesn't just want a taste. She wants the whole thing, the full spectrum, everything. And this leads her to ask the grid, this system, a really profound question.
Which is?
How much would it cost to feel it all?
Whoa. That's a challenge to the entire system.
It really is. And the grid, being a machine, calculates it.
And the answer is?
12,293,883,455.7 credits per second.
Per second. That's astronomical, almost meaningless.
It underscores the system's goal, right, to make the full human experience literally unaffordable, impossible.
So what does Lia do when she gets this number, this impossible number?
She laughs. A real genuine laugh.
Which costs her?
Yep. 11.6 credits. A tiny little financial dent, but a huge act of defiance.
Yeah. Can you really put a price on that? Control it?
Well, Lia decides to find out. Driven by this need to feel it all, she comes up with a plan, a very daring one.
Okay, what's the plan?
She infiltrates a decommissioned military lab, old tech, probably forgotten.
Right.
And she finds this device, a neuroburst amplifier. Its original purpose, get this, An empathy weapon.
An empathy weapon designed to force empathy.
Seems like it. But Lia repurposes it, turning this tool of control into, well, a tool of liberation. It's quite neat.
So she takes this amplifier.
Wires it, illegally, obviously, to her own grid port, her neural implant. And she creates this cocktail, using all those stolen emotive pulses she'd been saving.
The one she smuggled.
Yeah. Joy, grief, lust, terror, serenity, all mixed together. A volatile brew.
Reflecting the complexity of actual emotion, I guess. Not just the nice parts.
Precisely. And this whole thing, this is Project Allheart.
Project Allheart. Okay.
Her plan is to broadcast this concentrated blast of pure feeling.
Yeah.
Through the SetNet, that underground network.
To everyone.
To everyone connected to the grid. There's this tiny window, a 0.8-second system reset. She aims to hit it then.
And override their grids.
Momentarily, yes. Force everyone, just for an instant, to feel everything.
Yeah.
Simultaneously.
The risks must be immense for her personally.
Catastrophic. She knows it. It'll bankrupt her instantly. It could absolutely kill her. The overload.
But she does it anyway. Why?
Remind them. That's her motivation. Remind the whole city, all these emotionally numb people, what it actually feels like to be alive. The highs, the lows, all of it.
It's an incredible act of self-sacrifice, really, for feeling.
It is. And the moment itself.
Yeah.
The story describes it vividly. She's strapped into this amplifier.
Yeah.
The grid is screaming warnings in her head. Emotional overload imminent. Liquidation protocols activated. Financial ruin.
And her reaction?
She just smiles defiantly and hits send. Right at 03.03.000.
Wow. And what happens? What's the effect on the city?
It's described as an explosion, but not of sound, of sensation. Pure, raw feeling washing over everyone.
Can you give examples?
Yeah, like people just dropping their briefcases mid-commute. A woman in some sterile office gasping, overwhelmed.
Yeah.
A drone operator suddenly screaming, maybe in recognition, maybe terror.
Years of suppression just breaking.
Exactly. Public displays of affection erupting. Children laughing, like really laughing, maybe for the first time. And the tax grid itself.
What about it?
It flickers and goes silent, overloaded. The system just can't handle that much raw, unfiltered humanity all at once.
It shows that genuine emotion, that intensity. It can break the system.
Seems so. For Lia, though, the personal cost is immediate.
She doesn't die.
She collapses. Her heart actually stops for 12 seconds.
12 seconds.
Yeah, the amplifier fries completely. She's bleeding from the ears, but she survives, and she's smiling.
Incredible resilience. But she can't just walk away after that, surely.
Oh, no way. She's apprehended almost immediately. Tried in absentia. I mean, the act of feeling that intensely was the crime, right?
So what's the verdict?
Declared emotionally insolvent. A drain on the emotional economy. Catchy terms.
Chilling. And the sentence?
Complete emotive sequestration. Basically a full grid lobotomy. They silence her ability to feel anything forever. The ultimate punishment in that society.
So they erase her, emotionally speaking. But does her act, does it actually change anything? Or does the system just reset?
That's the really interesting part. It triggers, well, unforeseen consequences. The dam broke, even if just for a moment.
How so?
People start having spontaneous leaks, uncontrolled bursts of feeling, crying at an ad, laughing on the subway, stuff that shouldn't happen.
The control isn't perfect anymore.
It seems not. And you see other changes. Musicians start playing on the streets again.
The criminalized art form.
Right. Graffiti starts appearing actual color and expression on the gray walls. That black market for feelings, the SetNet trade, it booms, expands.
So her act lit a spark.
Definitely. And Lia herself, even though she's silenced, she becomes this huge symbol.
A symbol of what?
They call her the one who felt everything.
Yeah.
Her image, arms open, heart bursting. It becomes this icon of resistance, of remembering what's possible. The narrative says she showed them a truth too vast to unsee.
Even if they try to forget it again.
Mm-hmm. And the story ends years later. A child, somewhere in subsector 47, who's only heard stories, legends of Lia, closes her eyes and feels something stir, just a flicker. Joy and grief mixed together. A seed, the story calls it.
Planted by Lia's broadcast.
Perhaps. And the child smiles. Not because she has to, not because it's calculated, but because it's real.
That's a powerful ending. A little bit of hope there.
A tiny bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've just journeyed through this narrative, this thought experiment about a society that tried to quantify and control basically the essence of being human, our emotions.
And Lia's act, Project Allheart, was this radical, maybe desperate attempt to shatter that control, even if just for a moment.
Right. A powerful disruption.
So, As you, our listener, reflect on this deep dive, maybe think about this. We don't have a literal tax grid, obviously, but our world, it's saturated with information, with expectations, subtle pressures sometimes to feel certain ways or present ourselves emotionally in specific ways.
It's worth asking, what are the less obvious, maybe metaphorical taxes on our own genuine feelings today? What's the value of those unfiltered moments the story highlights?
Yeah, when have you felt pressured to, manage your emotions, put on a brave face, or hide vulnerability, but for work or socially? It happens, right?
All the time. And what might our versions of the underground sentinet look like? Those spaces, maybe online, maybe in close friendships, where we can be authentic. Where's our emotional graffiti? Those small acts of real expression.
And finally, maybe just hold on to that image from the end, that child, feeling that unexpected flicker, that seed of real joy and grief. What seeds of genuine feeling might be lying dormant in our own lives, even in places that feel kind of sterile or controlled, just waiting maybe for the right conditions, the right spark to stir.
It's definitely something to think about, a powerful idea to carry with you.